Okay, back at part two. I know I left off last time talking about engine mechanical, but I'm going to continue with engine mechanicals. There's so many other things to look at when we're chasing a misfire. We saw a relative compression earlier. We saw the tailpipe. We saw what an anomaly looked like and what an anomaly did not look like when away from that was an anomaly free. In a case like this, if we had an engine mechanical under suspicion, one of the real important things to look at is the intake manifold cranking. We will look at the vacuum pulse cranking, and then we will look at the crankcase via the oil cap. I have a transducer. I'll put the same transducer. I'll just flip it over to the oil cap, and we'll see what that looks like. And we'll take a look at what the vacuum pulls look like, because they're real important when as far as a valve train issue, a sealing issue, a valve spring, a multitude of issues that can be valve train related, cam lobes, wipe lobes, lobes that have walked on the camshaft, things like that. So I have my time scale set up pretty good, so you should get a good, this is cranking vacuum on the intake. And you can see pretty good there. I'll hold it and you can analyze that. It's we don't see too many anomalies. We don't see any wild pressure swings would indicate a leaking valve. Our transfer points are equidistant, meaning the distance between transfer points is the same. If something shifted along here, these transfer points, I mean, this you can use cursors and rulers and stuff. I'm not going to go that far into it. Just I'm going to kind of look everything just by the naked eye. We don't see anything obvious, but that can all be measured with cursors, which this scope has. But the high points and the low points and the angles, that's real important. If we saw an up and down, and a wild swing up or a wild swing down, that would indicate a valve-related issue, not just a valve. You'd want to consider many things. You wouldn't want to send the cylinder head right to the machine shop. You got to consider the camshaft as a variable, valve springs, lifters, bent push rods, things like that. So nonetheless, I will move the transducer now. I will go to the crankcase. I'm sorry, you know what I want to do? I want to do a running vacuum test. So you'll see what that looks like. And I may have to make some adjustments. I'll start the scope and start the car, just because we can also look at problems running. Cranking, I think, is better. Most guys like cranking. It's just the events are a lot slower. You can determine more, but sometimes running, you may notice a problem. So here, I'm gonna start the car, and okay, we're running. Let me make the time. Okay, let's get a little more voltage, a little less voltage. Okay, we can see our patterns, hashy obviously, but nothing really obviously sticking out bad, no wild swings. You can see the pulls, the pressure changes, the dynamic pressure changes as valves open and close. Let me go a little shorter on the time so you can see that. Then it's a 4-cylinder, this is a 4-cylinder, so we see 4 pulls going across the screen. And now I will go, I'm gonna keep it running. And then get on the crankcase. Okay. See what I say about scoping under pressure. You hear the way that car was running? Probably a reason, because it didn't have a coil. So these things happen when we're working on cars in real life when the pressure's on. So yes, it's my bad. The egg's on my face, so I'm gonna have to tighten this spark plug. Spark plug is tight. I'll put the coil in, and we'll be back to running normally. Plug was in. Coil's going back in. Camera's rolling. Let's okay. Let's get on the crankcase now. We'll do a crankcase. Let me get the scope running. Get this out of the way. You can see. Okay. And that's the crankcase. I got to extend the time because it's too short. Okay, this is the cranking. on the oil cap with a piezo delta sensor. That looks good. Okay, you really can't complain with that. Basically, stop the video and analyze it. I'm not going to stop the scope, but obviously you can stop the video and look at that. Right there, I'll do it again. Very equidistant transfer points, no anomalies. That's the crankcase. That's would tell us if we have compromised cylinder walls, a side end, bottom end leak, which is very, very important. You never want to negate that test when you're treating a misfire, because sometimes cars can have two things wrong with them. You could have a bad coil, and you immediately say to the customer it's a coil, and then they leave and they still got a misfire, and you find out that they need to spend a lot more money. So keep the crankcase in mind anytime you're doing a diagnosis. It's good to give the customer some indication of it could be a prerequisite to a problem is pending, because that tells how well the crankcase is sealing the pistons, the rings, and the lower end. So nonetheless, I will we saw the vacuum pulls, we saw the crankcase in this video. I will do one more. I'll do a running crankcase video just to see that, because it's so important. And I will start the car. We're running, we're looking at the crankcase. Oh, that's a little long. I gotta get the time base adjusted. That looks pretty good. That's probably the best looking pattern. That's a really good pattern. No wild swings, everything, no anomalies, equidistant on the top and the sides. And so that's running, and I'll shut the car off. Okay, so that was more of engine mechanical. You don't want to forget this when you're doing engine mechanical, to narrow down, if you can see if it is a valve issue, if it is a ring issue, a timing issue, a cam lobe issue. So nonetheless, this will be the end of part 2, and I will come back with some more misfire diagnosis. Thanks a lot.